I don't want to make a video where I just dump on a product. Like, that's so lame to just dump on something someone else worked really hard on, right? I mean, it's easy to be critical, but much harder to be creative. But with that said, I've read through Strixhaven now, and I'm just going to be honest, I just didn't like it. Now, that's not to say that I don't think some of you out there right now won't like this book or that it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad, okay? I can't be any clearer. But I will say that it's not for me, and I have a gut feeling that it won't be for a lot of you either. So let's talk about why. It pains me to say this, but this is the second Dungeons & Dragons 5e book back-to-back that really disappointed me. And maybe I have higher expectations now with how amazing Wizards of the Coast has been with 5th edition, but it feels like 2021 has seen a significant drop in quality from the D&D team. If the Fizbin book was the most obvious cash grab of bland dragon stat blocks with no real substance, predictable, boring 5e content, it feels like Strixhaven sits on the complete opposite spectrum. In fact, when you read it, it doesn't feel like Dungeons & Dragons. It certainly doesn't seem to even attempt to appeal to longtime D&D players. And hey, maybe that's fine. But if you're gonna buy it expecting a D&D adventure book, you need to know that's not what you're gonna get here with your money. And the word that jumps to mind as to the why is whimsy. It's overly whimsical. Hey, listen, I like whimsy, okay? I think laughing at the table is possibly the most important thing you can aim to achieve while running a game, and I mean that. I like the occasional joke, and I have certainly been known to run more than a few characters with puns in their names. Whimsy 100% has a place at the D&D table. But whimsy is there to serve as a counterpoint. It's there to break up the seriousness of much darker topics, not the least of which often involve a fight to the death for survival. But Strixhaven reads like a bad Harry Potter ripoff stuffed with overly whimsical scenes to trick the DM and players into feeling like they're at Hogwarts. But instead, Strixhaven seems more like a Hogwarts you get at Kmart. Strixhaven's is the Mega Blocks of Halo. Seems like a fun idea at first, but eventually you realize it's Mega Blocks. Small shout out to all my fellow AFOLs out there. But Cody, you're being too harsh. We need some examples. Okay, fine. Let's look at some examples. First, let's look at the tracking sheet. This is an integral part of the Dungeons & Dragons campaign you and your fellow players are about to embark on, and it includes report cards and a place to track your relationships, which works on a hard-coded point-based system, by the way, extracurriculars and co-workers. Yeah, there are few things I personally dislike more than gamifying NPC interactions in my D&D game. It was one of my biggest complaints with a little-known game called Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and lo and behold, not only do we get these in spades here in this adventure, but it is a significant part of the Strixhaven adventure and experience. I also love how the 5e team added a little quip that if we don't care for these rules, we don't need to use them and can instead, actually just like roleplay. And then immediately they follow that up with quite literally an entire chapter of the book dedicated to this relationship mechanic. I'm not making that up. We get rules for becoming beloveds and how relationship points are accrued to create friendly and rivalrous responses, and how each gamified relationship provides certain boons and banes for our eccentric fellow students, like Drowsomir, a minotaur with glasses that just loves poetry, our Draco Malfoy ripoff Grayson with a not unironic description of having a biting writing style who uses his platform to mock ignorance. And even our rowdy Greta, a dwarven first-year student into the sport of powerlifting. But the Sims 4 gameplay of Strixhaven isn't its biggest glaring problem, I think. The more and more you read into the adventure, the more the slapstick whimsy begins to change and alter itself until you realize what the adventure and story, if you can call it that, actually is. And I'm going to say something that is... It's going to hurt some feelings of the creators out there, but it feels like cheap Hogwarts parody, bordering on not being parody at all, but edging awfully closer and closer to that line of plagiarism. I know, okay, I get it, but you read the book and tell me that's not the case. I mean, I have never said anything remotely close to that about a D&D product before. We get our wonderful little Hogsmeade in the form of the Bow's End Tavern, where we find a, quote, squat but comfortable looking building, where of course the students from the school get to hang out afterwards. Then there's Sedgemoor, the Strixhaven equivalent of the Forbidden Forest. Arrogant Field, which is where teams compete from different schools in Silk Ball that often involves magic not to fly, but to hop through the air. Because, you know, hey, it's not Quidditch, okay? They only hop magically in this game. They don't fly magically for this game. And naturally, our trip through Strixhaven, wouldn't be complete without an entire section on the Magister's Masquerade, an elaborate dress ball and major campus event, where first and second year students are forbidden to attend. Oh yeah, and don't forget the dueling scenes in Harry Potter, so, you know, Strixhaven has naturally included rules for that as well. We're just checking boxes here at this point. But look, all of this said, do I think Strixhaven is bad? No. In fact, I think the book has a lot to offer as the story moves past the first few chapters, well, really almost the first half, which I do consider weak. And as if it was time for yet another Harry Potter reference, I think the story mirrors Harry Potter quite a bit in that respect. The fun, magical, whimsical story that admittedly seems aimed at a younger audience and a bit childish does eventually begin to grow into a longer tale with more drama and risk for the party and characters. However, I think it is incredibly important to be honest with you guys here. This is a review about your money. That's all this is about. Is this product worth your money? And more importantly, is Wizards of the Coast being honest about what this product is? Well, let's look at how they are marketing it. Here's a screen grab I took of a tweet from the Dungeons & Dragons main account on Twitter this week, where they're touting new spells. Okay, there's 5 of them, 1 level 1 and 4 second level spells. New adventures. Well, I mean, it's really one big adventure, and none of these smaller adventures are really designed with the intent to like pop them into a different campaign that doesn't revolve around the party being young students attending a magic school. And new character options. Well, I mean, there is technically a new race and two new feats in the whole book, the first of which is basically a reskin of feats you already have with different spell choices, and the second feat lets you cast a spell already in the game faster. Oh, and it literally requires you to take that first feat. Honesty, integrity. These have always been important to me when communicating with you guys. And even though this video review of Strixhaven has a biting tone, at least I can sleep easy knowing that it's an honest one. And when I read through Strixhaven over the last 2 days and saw how the Wizards of the Coast team decided to try to market this book to you guys to get your money, I knew I had to make this video. Not because I think Strixhaven is bad, which I kind of do, for my groups anyways, but rather because you guys out there thinking about whether to spend your money on this book, you might not. What's important to consider now is, have I changed your expectation? Not whether I've changed your mind on picking this book up, but have I helped you understand better what you're getting yourselves into? Strixhaven is not a Dungeons & Dragons adventure. This book doesn't feel influenced in the slightest by R.A. Salvatore, Ed Greenwood, Hickman, or Weiss, yet alone Sanderson, Jordan, Tolkien, Sapkowski, or Martin. It feels instead like a fanfic of Rowling. And some may see this review and say, well, it's easy to diminish this and compare it to Harry Potter. That's just the easy way to review it. Well, maybe there's a reason it's the easiest way to review it, because it's so glaringly, obviously true. And I made this review because if you know what you're buying, great. You can make an informed decision. But for the people out there expecting this to be something else entirely, now you know the truth. And I want to end on this. I currently own this product on D&D Beyond, and I absolutely will be purchasing it here in the short future in a hard paper copy. That's right, boys and girls, I'm still going to spend my money on it with the intention of running it this summer for my son and his friends. But that's because I believe he is closer to the target audience. If you, however, don't feel excited about the campaign after learning more about what it actually includes inside, maybe, perhaps, perchance, possibly, Strixhaven is a purchase you might want to skip. So now I'm going to pass it over to you guys in the community. Hey, listen, I get it. Strixhaven is really from Magic the Gathering, and maybe it was originally intended to be parody, and its translation to D&D has moved it more away from the parody it was supposed to be. Maybe you guys aren't as surprised and are more familiar with the setting before it's released or anything like that. Are you guys running it? Have you guys picked it up? Are you enjoying this adventure already? Are you excited about it? And let us know with all of that if you're like Harry Potter fans or not. And I know Rowling's had like a whole bunch of nonsense happen that I'm going to ignore and not deal with. That's not part of this video. You can still be fans of Harry Potter. I truly believe in my heart, even if you don't support her. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. I would love to read those opinions. And if it's a review and you are having a good experience that is different from mine, people who are on the fence should definitely hear those as well. I want to give a massive thank you to all the incredible patrons out there over at welcomeadventures.com. Guys, thank you so much. It's because of you I get to continue what I'm doing, and for that I am just so incredibly grateful. If you guys like what I do here, you want to support more content like this and snag some rewards for yourself, welcomeadventures.com is a great way to do that. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I would love to have you subscribe. I put out videos on GM tips, player tips, tutorials, and not really a whole bunch of stuff like this, but occasionally stuff like this. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, hit the subscribe button down below and come join us. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Cody, and may your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time.